Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another solo QCast. I am ThePaSch. Again, with me I have co-color caster GreyGo0se, who will be bringing you the analysis in today's cast. Say hello already.
Oh, sorry. My microphone was muted. I didn't realize. Sorry
Oh,
about that, but here I am now. So, welcome everybody.
okay. We have still a minute and 20 left before the game starts. Let's just quickly take this time to go over the matchups. I'll do blue team, you do purple. In the top lane, as it looks like, we do have a Riven played by Yale. In the jungle, it's going to be Volibear played by Crun Chips. Mid lane, a Lulu played by Vortexy. And on the bot lane, Hafkes and Mitsunari on Sivir and Blitzcrank.
Certainly a very interesting team, and on the opposing side, we have a Wukong for the top lane, Orianna in the mid lane up against that Lulu. Of course, in the jungle we have Shyvana, and in the bot lane it's going to be a Thresh Corki lane. So, very
Okay,
interesting composition from the blue team, though. Lulu
exactly. So
mid.
let's 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 first take a look at the thing that stares at us, begging to be discussed. The Lulu mid. What do you think about that?
We've seen, especially Korean team, I do believe it was Royal Club, play that a lot, and it was really, really scary. A well
I think
played
Royal
Lulu
Club is
mid.
actually Chinese.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry. My
Yeah.
apologies. I've got my World Championship stuff wrong already. So soon after it ended. Anyway, Lulu, if played right, can be a very, very powerful mid, especially since it's not commonly played. So if the person that she's up against doesn't know how to deal with it, it can be devastating. And I'm really looking forward to how she'll do against an Orianna, who is of course also fairly pokey and still has a shield for herself, so she can block some of the poke that Lulu has. Now Lulu is often interesting because she has that picks to help her out with auto attacks as well, and yeah, definitely going to be a very interesting thing to look out for.
Yes,
I
I do
am.
believe that that Lulu can be very strong early game with her AP ratios, but they do fall off the later the game gets. So I think that Orianna is going to be more useful to the team. What do you think?
Orianna in the late game definitely has the advantage there, also with her ultimate, so powerful, not only for engaging, but also to basically turn around a fight, and combined with the Wukong ultimate, the Cyclone, they have a lot of ultimate CC in there towards late game team fights. However, Lulu does have the wild growth, and she has all-in characters. There are Riven and Volibear that are looking to go right into the middle of the enemy team and do all the damage they can. And this wild growth may just be the thing that turns around a team fight towards the end as well. Of course, the knockup very powerful, especially against champions that are in that fray as well, which will be Shyvana, Wukong, and Thresh generally. So it's you're right. Orianna will have, with all her utility and the better AP ratios towards the late game, will have a possibly greater impact then. But if Lulu and the rest of her team play it right, they definitely have a very good chance of still defeating that team, even towards the late game.
Well, late game is going to be a while. Let's take a look at the early game, meaning level 1. Who should go for what? Of course, we do have the Blitzcrank on the blue team here, along with that Volibear who can just rolling thunder. Um, so they look like me, like they look to me like they have the better level 1, but we do have the Thresh on the red team, and good early damage from Wukong's Q. What do you think?
I would agree that the blue team generally has the stronger level 1 fight. Also with the Blitzcrank, they have that pull to pull out the blue buff if they want to, or whatever buff they're invading on. Riven also pretty strong at level 1. Sivir with that boomerang blade very powerful, or with a spell shield if she were to get caught out by Thresh. And then Lulu's Glitter Lance at level 1, also a very powerful spell, so blue team has a lot of CC, a lot of things to bring to the table for the level 1. However, Orianna able to scout with the ball, as you mentioned. Wukong nice early game damage as
Connection
well,
lost.
and Thresh still has that hook to throw in there. As I am disconnected. Come on. Good call.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Oh, so it wasn't only me. I thought it only died for me, but that's... You still can't hear me. Why can't you hear me? Can't hear me still. I was about to say.
30 seconds until
Okay.
minions spawn.
So yeah, with the Orianna ball for the scout and then putting down a ward into that little bush over there, the red team's fully aware of the blue team's positioning. Lulu up in the top lane is hanging around there, and we may actually see a switch then, with Lulu going up against Wukong and Riven going into the mid lane up against Orianna. And Riven may have an early game advantage there if Orianna is not very, very careful. Blitzcrank trying to land a couple of hooks and not hitting his target yet, and with that ward there, it's going to be very hard for them to really make anything happen. But Lulu and Wukong are fighting.
First blood.
It was pretty close, and in the end, I do believe Wukong had the advantage with being able to sit inside the bush, and that's what turned that fight into his favor. He was able to sit there, let his health potion take for a while, and then re-engage, pick up that kill for himself. Lulu, of course, actually started with a Dorn's Blade, whereas Wukong started with a Cloth Armor, so he was able to negate some of that damage as well. Lulu, of course, due to the way Pix functions, he'll attack whatever target you attack, and if you then build a Lulu with on-hit effects, that can get really powerful really, really quickly. So if she goes for a Blade of the Ruined King, stuff like that, the percentage health damage will trigger even more often. That would have been extremely bold and probably turned around on him. Riven, oh, the hook lands on the bot lane. Yeah, he was able to pick up that longsword, and that's going to make him really scary. Yeah, Wukong was able to go back early on, pick up that longsword for himself, and that really made him very powerful already, and enabled him to pick up the second kill onto Vertexi. Lulu not in a good position there, and Volibear is fighting him. Now the bot lane, there's a gank. Shyvana sneaked in behind knowing that Volibear was up top. That was beautifully played by Sivir and Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank's flash was extremely well timed, and that's one thing that gets very hard the higher up in the game you get, is waiting for the right moment as they go in onto Thresh. So once again, Midsunari and Hafkiz here, they're playing this lane extremely calmly. Hafkiz was very low on health. They said, we're not going to panic, we know what we can do. They went for it and picked up another kill. that's exactly how they played during the gank as well. Blitzcrank did not flash in panic. He waited for the right second, flashed, stayed completely safe, got under the tower, and then hooked Shyvana in, the lowest HP target already. And that enabled them to pick up 2 kills for themselves there. One onto Sivir, one onto Blitzcrank, and now it is 3-2 in kills with an 900 gold advantage in favor for the blue team, despite Wukong so far dominating the top lane kill-wise. That was a very good call by Yale. He saw that Orianna was out of mana, decided to turn it around, went in there, picked up a nice kill for himself. Still has that ignite and the flash too, so he really knew that he was still safe. And for Taxi just getting
within my grip. I bet I can hit their base from here.
Wow, Wukong putting on a beautiful performance in the top lane, just getting a 3rd kill for himself and getting away from Volibear despite both flashes being burned up there, and Shyvana's in trouble. I mean, steal from Zone Jungler. Pretty much, but that's going to give him a huge edge in that mid lane. Orianna already kind of pushed back with, I mean, CS-wise, there's an 18 CS lead in favor of Riven. That's only going to be extended after Shyvana picks up the blue buff for herself, not giving that over to Orianna, and that could really hurt them a lot. And he's not going to take much damage from Lulu at all, and that really hurts this poor little Yordle. However, of course, in the bot lane, the reason why Sivir was able to pick up that next kill once again was because she had a BF sword already. She had a BF sword at around 6 minutes, and that is devastating on someone like Sivir, who does so much early game damage with that boomerang blade if it hits, of course. And she did manage to make it hit, did manage to make it count, picked up another kill there, and is going to be looking to snowball that lane farther and farther in her favor. Oh, and there are so many people in the bot lane. This could be very dangerous for the blue team here. Once again, beautifully done by Hafkiz and Mitsunari. They're doing really well for themselves, and Volibear actually forcing out the flash from Orianna there, chasing her almost into the base. But one thing that this constant Wukong pressure does in the top lane is it forces Volibear to constantly be up there as well. And due to the wards that Wukong put down, Volibear hasn't been able to make any of that count, so he's falling farther behind in CS compared to Shyvana, and his ganks are not working. And this enables Shyvana to just return to that bottom lane time and again. And even though those ganks aren't working out either just yet, it's always a very, very dangerous thing. And Sivir and Blitzcrank have to be very careful with how they play, but Crunchips is in trouble here. Not at all. They're being pushed back so far, and the hook lands. Yeah, but if that happens one more time, he is going to have to burn his flash and maybe his barrier as well, or he can go down despite that. And Vortexi's fighting in the top lane. Yeah, that was nice timing. That was nice timing. The Cyclone had already been used before, but now Riven in the mid lane is fighting as well. Nah, just gonna back off. But Crunchips is there. Maybe a 2-for-2. A 2v2, of course. Nah. Both the junglers just heading back. But what I wanted to say is Wukong had used his Cyclone to pick up the kill onto Volibear. That was, in my opinion, quite the waste. He just wanted the kill there. Didn't have to use it, and now Volibear in the bot lane. This may be another kill for the blue team. And this may be dragon control for the blue team. They could decide to go for this. Let's see if they do decide to do so. Yes, Volibear is looking to be picking up that dragon now. And with Orianna being pushed back in the mid lane, Sivir just having picked up the Volibear just having picked up the kill onto Thresh, and Corki also being forced back. Shyvana's the only one that's around there that could do anything, but she's stuck defending the bottom tower. And this is going to be an uncontested dragon for the blue team. Very nicely done. Picking up the advantages first, putting up the map pressure, then going for a free objective for themselves. So that's going to snowball their gold lead a little bit farther ahead to a little over 3,000 gold, and Shyvana might still get caught here. Vortexian Prime in a huge engagement up top. Indeed he is, and he's going to be looking to pick up a Brutalizer soon, whereas Lulu going for that Phage, of course, as you mentioned, and now there's a dive. Yeah, Lulu is so low. Lulu is so low, and she doesn't have her ultimate either. Of course, Wukong doesn't either, but he has that get in, hit once, get out potential, and that's, he can just whittle Lulu down under her tower. She is not in any position to hold this. If she doesn't go back soon, he's just going to take her down without anything that she can do about it. Now he should do so. He can pick up the kill if he just waits around long enough. And Lulu is taking tower damage, and she doesn't want this to happen, but that forces her to stick around, and Volibear is still in the mid lane. He's not going up there to help. Lulu is all on her own, and here's the dive. Ooh. I'm pretty sure she used it on herself in order to speed herself up to run away that long. And in my opinion, that was definitely the right choice. The speed up does more for you against a bruiser that is trying to run after you. It forced the flash out of Wukong and almost made him pay for that with his life. It was, in my opinion, as well played as Lulu could have done under the circumstances. She did not have a lot of mana. She did not have a lot of health. And Wukong's so powerful at those tower dives. If he hadn't had his flash, that would have been a very dead Wukong and possibly a surviving Lulu. Sadly, she didn't, and this is going to be still game on for the blue team, but they are now 7-8. They've fallen behind in kills. Of course, they are still 1,500 gold ahead. That engagement there around the blue buff area was terrifying for them. Sivir used her ultimate. They all tried to get in there, but then they split up. And then they were basically at 3v4 after Blitzcrank went down so early on in the fight. And the red team collapsed very, very well and just cleaned up for themselves. That was a huge misplay by the blue team and gave a lot of already gained advantages over to the red team. So now there's a trap in the bot lane. Shyvana's behind them though. Oh! That was so close, and the save from Volibear, beautifully done there, saving Blitzcrank from almost certain death. Sadly, Sivir was still behind the enemy lines then, was taken down, and Volibear tanking up the spot tower, they're just trying to take it down. If this tower decided to hit Blitzcrank, that could have been a death there, and the minion wave finally coming around, but that's going to be the first tower of the game in favor of the blue team, followed up almost immediately by the tower in the mid lane for the red team. Orianna, of course, left alone there to free push that wave with Riven roaming down the top. Ouch. Lulu sadly didn't manage to get her wild growth off there. If she had, she would have won that trade. So Lulu playing this top lane very well, and it's still such an interesting lane with the Wukong, who is such a bruiser that can easily get onto enemy champions, and an AD Lulu, something we do not see often. However, of course, she is 1 and 5 at this point, but all the engagements are so close, despite the big advantage that Wukong already has over her. However, he has now picked up Phage as well. Let's see what that does for her. The blue team pushes down the mid lane.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
Oh, Lulu! That Orianna shield almost managed to save him. That was so close. Vortexi had already thought he had that kill for sure, and then all of a sudden, it just turned around on him due to the Orianna shield, and that made him have to use the Whimsy on himself to try and get in there. And finally, he did sneak the kill onto Orianna, but this didn't let him get the kill onto the very low Wukong around the corner. So Riven catches that Thresh. Thresh not in a good position there, and now Corki is in trouble. And really, the red team had such a good fight there. They picked up a couple of kills, got out with very low health bars, but then Corki and Thresh decide to arbitrarily invade the enemy red zone without any kind of ward coverage, and they paid for it with their lives. The top tower is going to go down. Wukong jumping onto Vortexi here. Not going to make anything happen. The Whimsy is enough to get him out of that. But now, Volibear and Rift are moving up to the top lane as well. Meanwhile, though, Blitzcrank. They're messing with you. They're messing with you on purpose. It's all planned.
Red team double kill.
Really getting very, very greedy there. Sivir and Blitzcrank just looking for that last little bit of money, but as soon as the rocket grab missed, Lucid Q was able to turn around. Corki getting a double kill there, and the red team sadly going to discover now that the dragon has already been picked up. It's a shame. However, I mean, once again, the red team with a very nice engagement, then overextending just a little bit, Wukong sadly getting flung back into the tower after the wild growth came out of the Volibear. And meanwhile, Blitzcrank and Sivir had been bottom, and they took out the inner tier tower, which is very nice for the blue team. They got a lot more map control on that bottom lane now. And whereas the red team has all the outer towers of the blue team down, the blue team still has that top outer tower to take down easily. It's not that low yet. It's at about 2/3 of its HP. It's basically stored money that they can pick up at any time. By now, they have so much map pressure that if they were to move top 3, 4, even 5 people, they can easily take that down. And that's really the danger of a support towards the late game. Oh!
Red team double kill.
So that was a 2-for-3, a 3-for-2 engagement in favor of the red team this time. They are now 20 to 18 kills ahead. But there's still a 2,000 gold advantage for the blue team after they have picked up the top outer as well. And Lulu is still mercilessly pushing in here. Wukong on the bot lane. That would be very, very bold. Lulu, of course, does by now have a Phage and that Frozen Mallet, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to take down a Triforce Vamp Scepter Corki. Beautiful! That was... Yeah, with Wukong getting caught first, and then they managed to catch out a Corki in the top lane. Very nicely done there. The flash wild growth out of Lulu, crucial for that fight to succeed in the blue team's favor, and now Thresh is getting caught out as well. Yet, I mean, that's always the danger of being a support towards the late game. You're not gonna be tanky. And when there are such huge threats as a 649 Sivir with Bloodthirster and Trinity Force, or that Riven, you're dead. Once again, Blitzcrank there at the right time with that those Bootsum abilities, he's everywhere, and the Shurelya's Reverie to speed up his team. He's just been saving his teammates over and over again. Clutch, flash, knockups, flash pulls is really crucialist. And now there's another engage. Has nothing he can do about this. He does not have his ultimate up. No flash, no ignite. This tower is surely going to go down. The question is it going to be more? There's still 10 seconds on the clock until Shyvana and Thresh are up. This inhibitor tower is under a lot of fire. Thank God the rockets do not trigger that red buff, else Lulu would have surely gone down a lot earlier there. Wukong not done yet. They... Ooh!
Shut down.
Yeah, Thresh had to sacrifice his life for that. Sivir and Volibear sadly a little bit late here, but maybe they can pick up straggle kills. Yeah, I'm not sure why he did that. That was just a little bit stupid. Just to go that deep, there was no reason for it. There's no reason to stay in the enemy base with all of them respawning. Now there's a huge wave for the red team pushing on the bot lane. Lulu gonna clear that up as Volibear looking to do as much damage onto this top tower as possible. Hopefully take it down before he gets taken out by all these members coming in for him. But that's not what he wants to do. Hafka is now fighting Shyvana in the mid lane though. Oh, can Blitzcrank? Yes! Blitzcrank steals away the blue buff with a pull knockup. Beautifully done there. Just denying that. That's why I'm here. There are still 2 Baron buffs on the red team, and Volibear was not there for that. Oh, God. A little bit of miscommunication there. The shockwave was still up after all that, and that was a pretty sloppy fight on the blue team side. Volibear was not there, and they still kind of let this engagement happen. So, how did I get to happy there? Anyway, Lulu getting caught out, and that really cost them. Thank God they have that inhibitor down in the mid lane, causing the minions to shove down the top, else the red team would have had so many more options to push in even further, and Lulu and Blitzcrank alone would probably not have been able to hold that bottom inhibitor tower against 4 or even 5 members of the red team. Instead, their minions did a lot of damage to the top tower, and now Orianna in a lot of trouble here. Blitzcrank is very fast. Yeah, Vortexy Lulu has not only Runaan's Hurricane, but another recurve bar already in his back pocket. He has plus 100% attack speed. He is a monster with that, and he actually will do some real damage, even if you may not expect that. Wukong going in onto Blitzcrank, not going to be able to pick anything up there though. And now, in a 4v5 situation, the red team's in trouble. The inhibitor has respawned, but there are 5 members of the blue team towards the mid lane looking to make something happen here. Hopefully kill that inhibitor a second time for themselves.
Red team's inhibitor has been destroyed.
Yeah, this will definitely be the end here. Beautiful team fight towards the end there. And really, all game, one thing I have to say, Mitsunari, Blitzcrank with his pulls, spot on the entire game. His saved teammates with flash pulls, with flash knockups, flash static fields, and his knock pulls have been, his rocket grabs, phenomenal throughout the entire game. In every single fight, he made things happen with those, and just beautiful, astounding. I myself have trouble playing Blitzcrank. I can't land those pulls to save my life, but he's just shown us how a Blitzcrank is supposed to be played. Impressive. Yeah, they weren't able to deal with this constant threat of that triple AD comp out of the blue team, actually. They had Sivir, Riven, and, I mean, Lulu and Volibear both doing mainly attack damage, but Lulu definitely doing a little more here. So almost a quadra AD composition. And even though this is fairly easy to itemize against, Shyvana picked up that Thorn Mail, tried to get a little more armor. Wukong was the only one that had a Randuin's, though. And there was no armor on Thresh or Corki, and only the Zanya's Hourglass and Orianna. So all of them still pretty squishy, and it just worked out because the members of the blue team were that fed. Also, of course, they had the Last Whisper on both Sivir and Riven. That was huge for them. That let them penetrate so much of the enemy's armor. And then they had all the peel. They saved so many of their team members with such low health bars. Lulu, of course, very nice for that, with the Glitter Lance slowing the enemy down, the Whimsy turning someone into that cute little animal, or speeding your teammate up, the Wild Growth, of course, giving an ally bonus HP. Then there's Blitzcrank, who flash pulled, flash knockup, flash static fielded, as I already mentioned. Riven has a stun of her own. Volibear, able to run in there, throw someone backwards, able to slow someone down as well. And Sivir, of course, very strong at kiting herself with that ultimate that now no longer requires you to stop in order to cast it, and the spell shield for herself. Just the entire team composition was set up very well and then beautifully executed. They just made everything count that they had to, and the red team wasn't able to pick their fights. The fights that they were able to pick, whenever they got a flash initiation out of Wukong with a Cyclone, they won the team fight, undisputedly. But they weren't able to capitalize enough off of these won team fights. They weren't able to take towers. They weren't able to take any of the dragons. They all went over to the blue team. They were able to pick up a Baron once. But even with that, they didn't even manage to scratch the base of the blue team. And that's, in the end, just what cost them the game. They weren't able to capitalize well enough because the rotations and the team fighting of the blue team were just so far superior.
Very spot on analysis. What I asked myself is, we did see that fight in the bottom lane where Wukong managed to land a perfect 4-man Cyclone, and we did see that the Orianna Shockwave was still available at the end of that fight to pick up crunches. Now, what would have happened if they had used Wukong as a ball delivery system and immediately used the Shockwave upon him landing that 4-man Cyclone? That would have certainly given the fight an entirely new direction.
Yeah, definitely, because that would have kept all of the members of the red team even closer in that fight and done a lot of extra damage. Orianna had damage. She had a Void Staff, a Seraph's Embrace, and the Zanya's Hourglass on top of the Sorcerer's Shoes, so she had a lot of magic penetration, a lot of AP, and a shield for herself. That would have definitely been a huge bonus for them. I do believe Orianna was out of range at the time that Wukong flash engages. Of course, that's always the danger when you flash forward in order to engage. That your team isn't immediately there to follow up. And by the time she did get there, the blue team was able to spread. They flashed out, they ran out. Sivir used her ultimate in order to let people get away as well. Volibear still wasn't in the fight, and then the other three members were able to run away. So very close there. And if that had happened, that would have been a much better fight for the red team, and maybe they would have been able to shove down the bottom lane at that time. But the thing what happened there then was they had to chase down the entirety of the lane. They picked up their last kills around the Tribush area of the blue team's jungle, which is extremely far away. It took them forever to chase that. And during this time, because their middle inhibitor was down, the blue team's minions were bashing in on their base. They had to go back and take care of that, so they couldn't keep pushing. And then Lulu and Blitzcrank respawned, ran out there, caught Orianna on the way back, and then picked up another dragon for their team. So because they didn't manage the Shockwave Cyclone combo, the blue team was able to respawn, pick their advantages back up, and basically mitigate the losses from that.
Very, very true. Wonderful game out of blue team. Very good game out of red team as well, but as we have seen, it was not quite enough. Thank you for canceling with me here today, and thank you, dear viewer, for watching. This will be it for today. Might be more practice class coming up at some other point. As for us, we say goodbye.
Thank you very much.